You've probably heard the story. Alaska's oil industry is being shut down by government policy. It's a claim that's echoed in headlines, campaign speeches, and even casual conversations across the state and beyond. It's a compelling narrative, easy to grasp, dramatic, and often repeated in political debates. The idea of a government-imposed shutdown stirs up strong emotions and makes for a powerful talking point. But the reality is far more nuanced. The truth is buried beneath layers of policy, economics, and shifting global energy demands. While oil production has declined for years, the industry is far from dead. Alaska still pumps hundreds of thousands of barrels each day, and oil remains a backbone of the state's economy. In fact, Alaska is on the verge of a major revival, with billions being invested in new projects. Companies are betting big on the state's untapped reserves, and new technology is making extraction more efficient than ever. The so-called shutdown is a myth. What's really happening is a period of transition. The industry is evolving, not disappearing, as it adapts to new realities and regulations. New federal rules do restrict future leasing in some areas, but they don't cancel existing projects or halt approved operations. The government's approach is more about balancing development with environmental concerns than shutting things down. The oil that's already discovered and accessible is still being developed. Crews are working year-round to keep production steady and even ramp it up where possible. Recent production lows fueled the shutdown narrative, but experts now see these as the bottom before a significant climb. The industry has weathered downturns before and is poised for another upswing. Industry analysts forecast a major increase in output over the next decade, potentially reaching levels not seen in over 20 years. This optimism is driven by new discoveries and improved extraction methods. The real story is about an industry adapting to new rules while preparing for its next big boom. Engineers, workers, and communities are all part of this transformation, working together to shape Alaska's energy future. The shutdown claim is more political fiction than fact. It's a narrative that oversimplifies the challenges and ignores the resilience of Alaska's oil sector. Alaska's oil sector is not closing its doors, it's gearing up for expansion. New rigs, new jobs, and new opportunities are on the horizon. Understanding this disconnect is crucial to seeing the true future of Alaskan oil. The decisions made today will shape the state's economy and environment for generations. The myth of a shutdown oversimplifies a complex, evolving situation. Alaska's oil story is one of adaptation, innovation, and determination. Alaska's oil story is far from over. It's entering a new chapter, one defined by change, opportunity, and a renewed sense of purpose. Despite the talk of decline, Alaska's oil industry is on the brink of a major transformation. Alaska's oil production is set for a dramatic turnaround, one that could reshape the state's economic landscape and energy future. After decades of falling output, 2024 marks a low point, soon to be followed by a surge that few predicted just a few years ago. This isn't wishful thinking. It's based on major projects already underway, backed by billions in investment and years of planning. New oil fields are coming online, each adding significant volume to the state's total and bringing fresh jobs and opportunities to local communities. These developments will more than offset declines from older fields like Prudhoe Bay, ensuring Alaska remains a key player in U.S. energy. By 2028, experts predict output could reach nearly 490,000 barrels per day, a 20% jump that would inject new life into the state's economy. By 2032, production could climb to 660,000 barrels per day, reaching levels not seen since the early 2000s and reversing years of decline. This surge debunks the shutdown myth. The industry is preparing to thrive, not fade away, and workers are feeling a renewed sense of optimism. The numbers are clear. Alaska's oil sector is on the verge of a remarkable comeback, with ripple effects expected across the state. New technology and massive investments are driving this growth, making operations more efficient and environmentally responsible than ever before. The real story is not decline, but resurgence, one that's bringing hope and opportunity to Alaskans from all walks of life. Alaska's oil future is about to get a lot bigger, and the world is starting to take notice. Three major projects, Nuna, Pikka, and Willow, are at the heart of Alaska's latest oil boom, transforming the state's energy landscape and drawing national attention. Nuna, operated by ConocoPhillips, began producing oil in 2024, adding 20,000 barrels per day to Alaska's output and marking a significant milestone for the region's industry. Pikka, managed by Santos, is set to start production in 2026. It's expected to deliver a much larger boost, with projections suggesting it could become one of the most productive fields in the state. These projects involve billions of dollars in investment, the construction of new pipelines, and the development of extensive infrastructure across Alaska's remote tundra. The largest of them all is Willow, an $8 billion project approved in 2023. Oil is expected to start flowing by 2029, making it a cornerstone of Alaska's future energy plans. Willow alone could add up to 180,000 barrels per day, nearly a 40% increase in the state's total oil output, reshaping Alaska's role in the national energy market. Together, these projects will not just replace lost production from aging fields, they'll create a new peak, setting records for Alaskan oil. Billions are being invested, thousands of jobs are being created for Alaskans, and the state's oil future is being secured for the next generation. These developments are clear proof Alaska's oil industry is not shutting down, but expanding rapidly and evolving with new technology. The next era of Alaskan oil is being built right now, promising growth, opportunity, and a new chapter in the state's energy story. The Biden administration's oil policy in Alaska is a study in contradictions. On one hand, it's restricted new leasing in sensitive areas and banned offshore drilling in much of the Arctic. These moves signal a shift toward conservation and climate action. Yet, the same administration approved the massive Willow project in 2023. This decision angered environmentalists, but was justified by existing legal obligations. The result is a policy that limits future expansion, but allows major new projects to proceed. It's not a shutdown, but a balancing act between energy, environment, and law. Short and medium-term production is set to boom, even as long-term prospects are curtailed. The administration's approach is complex, not consistent. Alaska's oil future is being shaped by compromise, not closure. Alaska's oil future is tied to shifting politics in Washington. Each administration brings new rules, creating uncertainty for both industry and environmentalists. The Biden administration's restrictions could be reversed by the next president. President-elect Trump has promised to undo offshore drilling bans and boost production. But legal hurdles and court challenges could slow any changes. This political back and forth makes long-term planning difficult for everyone. Oil companies pause or accelerate investments depending on who's in charge. For now, the industry is preparing for a boom, but the fate of Alaska's wildest areas remains uncertain. The battle over Alaska's oil will be decided far beyond its borders. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, TAPS, is the lifeline of Alaska's oil industry. Designed for 2 million barrels a day, it now carries far less, creating technical risks. If flow drops below 300,000 barrels per day, the pipeline faces ice, wax buildup, and possible shutdown. A shutdown would strand North Slope oil, crippling the state's economy. That's why new projects like Willow and Pikka are essential, not just for revenue, but for survival. Their output will keep TAPS above the danger zone for years to come. The coming production surge is a lifeline for the pipeline and the state. Without enough volume, Alaska's oil can't reach the market. The future of TAPS depends on these new barrels. Alaska's economic heart keeps beating as long as the oil keeps flowing. Historically, most Alaska North Slope oil went to West Coast refineries, especially in California. But California's aggressive shift to renewables is shrinking that market. Refineries are closing or converting to biofuels, reducing demand for Alaskan crude. Just as Alaska ramps up production, its biggest customer is buying less. The industry must now find new markets, likely in Washington State, Hawaii, and especially Asia. More Alaskan oil will cross the Pacific, exposing the state to global market volatility. This shift changes shipping patterns and economic risks. Alaska's oil future is increasingly tied to international demand. The state must adapt to a new, more complex marketplace. Alaska's oil expansion comes with serious environmental and cultural costs. New drilling is happening in the vast, sensitive National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska. This region is critical habitat for wildlife and home to indigenous communities. Projects like Willow threaten caribou migration and disrupt traditional hunting. The Arctic is warming rapidly, making it even more vulnerable to industrial impacts. Local Inupiat communities are divided. Some welcome jobs, others fear for their way of life. The debate is about more than energy. It's about culture, food security, and survival. Oil development brings prosperity, but also risk and loss. Alaska's future hangs in the balance between economic gain and environmental protection. The idea of an Alaskan oil shutdown is a myth. The real story is a dramatic transformation: new projects, new markets, and new challenges. Alaska is poised for a production surge, even as political and environmental debates intensify. The Biden administration's mixed policies have allowed a short-term boom, but the long-term future is uncertain. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline's survival depends on this new wave of oil. Yet, as California's market shrinks, Alaska must look to Asia and beyond. This shift brings new risks and opportunities. The expansion of drilling raises urgent questions about wildlife, climate, and indigenous rights. Alaska's oil industry isn't dying. It's evolving in complex, sometimes contradictory ways. The path forward is a negotiation between energy, environment, and culture. Alaska's next chapter is just beginning, and it's anything but simple.